All right, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. We're up to Daf Yud Ches today. Chai, very special blot coming up. But we stopped in the middle of Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis. We're up to the Hiligi Gemura Tanu Rabbanon. It's like 8 lines from the top. We barely got through Yud Zayin yesterday, but Yetz Hashem. Tanu Rabbanon. When the Romans arrested Rabbi Elazar ben Prata and Rabbi ben Tradian. Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, Rabbi ben Tradian. So Rabbi Elazar ben Prata said to Rabbi ben Tradian, Ashrecha, lucky you, should have spastal davar echad, that they caught you for 1 crime. Oili, should have spastal chamisha dvarim. They caught me for 5 crimes. Rabbi Chanina answered him, Ashrecha, should have spastal chamisha dvarim. You're lucky that you got caught for 5 things. Va'ata nitzal, and you're going to be saved. Oili, should have spastal davar echad, the 80 nitzal. Oh, oy vavoy to me, that even for the 1 crime that he did, which was what? Teaching Torah of Rabbim. In those days, the Romans decreed that nobody can teach Torah, nobody can learn Torah. And Rabbi Tradian defied the Romans and he taught. And that was the Davar Echad. And he's going to be killed, as we know what happened. Rabbi Tradian is one of the Asar Ruga Malchus. He was burnt alive. The Eni Nitzel, I'm not going to be saved. You know why you're going to be saved, even though you did 5 things wrong in the Romans' eyes, and I'm not going to be saved, even though I only did 1 thing? Because you learned Torah and you also did Chesed. Va'ani, Rabbi Tradian says, me, ani lo yasakti ala b'Torah belvad. I only focused on learning Torah. I did not do Chesed. Ukteravuna dama ravuna. Kala oisik b'Torah belvad. Anyone who only learns Torah. Doima kemi she'ein lo elokai. He's similar to somebody who does not have a God, which means that you need Chesed as well. Shenemar v'yamim rabim leYisrael laloy lekei emes. My laloy lekei emes shkala oisek b'Torah belvad. Dem k'meshan lekai. We know the Torah starts, right? The Torah starts with Chesed, it ends with Chesed. Where does the Torah start with Chesed? Hashem made clothing. לא, שאיני ניצול, שאיני ניצול. No, שאיני ניצול. Says he's not gonna schnitzel. He's not gonna be able to be saved. He's saying he's not gonna be saved. And by the way, we saw. אבל רגע, היה לנו גמרא. רגע, לענות את השאלה, רב שור, תשמע. היה לנו גמרא לפני יומיים, we had a Gemara 2 days ago.
רבי עקיבא אמר, כל ימיים חיכיתי ליום הזה. רבי עקיבא, נכון? ללמד את התלמידים שלו, נכון?
כל יום הייתי מצטער.
כן, אני מצטער. אז כשיגיע זה לא... אז כאן הוא אומר, אוי לי?
Right.
Okay.
But didn't we have a story that somebody was caught, right? It was yesterday, 2 days ago. He was caught. They put him on the platform to be killed. Rabbi Elazar. And it was Tazayim at Beis, the bottom. And he said, what did I do wrong that I got caught? Rabbi Akiva actually was the one who said to him, maybe he had anah from Divrei Minus. Rabbi Eliezer, right. So he was upset that he got caught. Here, Rabbi Tradian says, I got caught and I'm not going to be saved. He knew, by Ruach HaKodesh, he's not going to be saved. And, so he said, why not? Because I wasn't Oisek in Gemilas Chasadim. And we know that the Torah is incomplete without Chesed. You can't just learn Torah and not do Chesed. Because the Torah, Hashem opened the Torah with Gemilas Chasadim, how he made clothing for Adam and Chava after they did the Aveira. And Sofi Gemilas Chasadim, the last part of Torah, is also Gemilas Chasadim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu buried Moshe Rabbeinu. So you have to do Chesed with Torah. So he says, since I didn't do Chesed, so Mamela, I'm not going to be saved. Asks the Gemara, is that true? Gemilas Chasadim loy osak. V'atanya, Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov Omer. A person shouldn't put his own money into a wallet that holds money of tzedakah, unless the one who is appointed to guard over the money of tzedakah is the Talmud Chacham, right? So what do you see from here? Chani Betradian was Oisik in Chesed. He was a guy by tzedakah. He was Oisik in Chesed. So why does Rabbi Tradian accuse himself saying, I was never Oisik in Chesed? Here, it sounds like he was a tremendous Bal Chesed. Right? Because he was Oisik in Tzedakah. So Tosfos asks right away over here, if you look at the side of Tosfos, asks Tosfos, Tema, my parach mit tzedakah. Do you know the difference in tzedakah and Gemilas Chasadim? The big difference. What's the difference?
three differences.
Okay.
One is Begufo Mono.
Okay. Which one is Gufay?
Gufo is Chesed.
Let's get a chip for Tzvi over
is
here.
also chesed.
Yeah.
Tzedakah is
Gufa is Chesed.
Tzedakah
Tzedakah is Mamaynoi. And Mamela Chesed is Bein La'aniyim, Bein La'ashirim. And Tzedakah is also only La'aniyim. Yeah. So Lamaisa, why is the Gemara asking from Tzedakah? Rechani B'Tradian said, I didn't do Chesed. It's two different things. What's the raya from Tzedakah? Yeah? Tzedakah and Chesed are two different things. Taisus answers, that anyone who does tzedakah, if you're focused on giving tzedakah, you're probably a Bal Chesed too. So if we see Rechani B'Tradian gave tzedakah, he probably was also a Bal Chesed. So why does Rechani B'Tradian say I wasn't a Bal Chesed? We see he's a Bal tzedakah.
But he said was not about it was memuneh al arnak tzedakah.
Yeah.
Meaning people trusted him to give him the money so he can give the money.
So next Taisvis, this is the next Taisvis of Shaul. Very good. Imcham to Taisvis again. Once you're a mamuna, right? Imagine you're in charge and you realize that the budget is low or the account is empty and people are waiting for tzedakah. So what is a mamuna Talmud Chacham going to do? He's going to spend from his own money, quickly going to fill the account from his own money. So Taisvis says, if he was a mamuna, he probably gave from his own money as well. So that's the raya. Famous girl Binyamin Atzadik. What that?
He was in charge of
Gemara Basra. Yeah.
Yes, and the poor lady came up to him.
Right.
Says, I have
Test, no?
Yeah. Gemara Daf Yomi Aleph. Yeah. Zichru.
I have no more money.
I don't know, you're right, maybe you're right.
לא,
That I'm a bit, you.
He lived, I think, 22 years longer.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful story. So here we have a Ma'aser Rechani B'Tradian. Imagine, I'm sure Rechani B'Tradian was really hard on himself. He said, I didn't do Gemilas Chesed and that's why I'm not going to be saved. So the Gemara asks, Hamuna hu da'ava mehemen. Chanina was very neman. Yeah, in other words, he's an example of somebody who's neman, of nemanut. But maybe me'avad lo yovad. It's not the pshat that he was mamuna on kupas tzedakah. He could have been mamuna because he was neman, but you don't see him doing tzedakah.
So he brought him as an example for ne'emanut.
Yes, yes.
Not for chesed.
For trustworthiness.
Rabbi
Yeah.
Yaakov, okay. Rabbi Yaakov,
Gemara says, Vatanya, Omar Loi, says the Gemara. Okay. Full house tonight. Everybody came definitely to the right daf. Every night is the right daf, but this daf particularly is the right daf. This is a daf chazak ma'od.
So it's not a raya that he was also b'gul chasadim.
What? Not a raya, yes.
Not a raya.
Gemara says, 1 second, was he really not over on Gemilas Chasadim? Vatanya wouldn't braisa. Omar Loi.
Ma'ot.
Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion said to his Rebbe, we'll see soon, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, Moiz shal Purim neschafli mashal tzedakah. By mistake, I had money in one pocket. I put aside money to buy food for Purim, to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Sudas Purim. And in the other pocket, I had money of tzedakah to give out to Aniyim. And what happened was, by mistake, I pulled out the money that I had for Sudas Purim, and I distributed that money, my money, for Aniyim, and I didn't pay myself back. And I didn't reimburse myself after I spent my own money thinking it was tzedakah money. So the Gemara says, so you see, Chanina, for someone to do that, he's about chesed, he's about tzedakah. So why is Chanina say, I'm not going to be saved because I didn't do chesed? Says the Gemara, me'evad ovad. Really, avadir Chanina did chesed. But kideboyele loy ovad. He could have done a lot more. And over here, Ben Chananel says, Chanina was a very wealthy person. Chanina B'Tradian was very wealthy.
In his level,
And he could have done a lot more chasodim. And at his level, and Lamaisa, the Gemara Ksubis in the bottom, they bring over Nagdim Ben Gurion also. Nagdim Ben Gurion.
That's the Lashon of Gemara over there. Right?
Yeah, he was Ba'ashiri Yerushalayim, he gave a lot of tzedakah, but still, Bisman HaChurban. Chanina B'Tradian over here, yes, we'll see in a moment. Very good. So also, people, I guess you can give millions of dollars, but if you're a billionaire, my dollar that I give is more than your millions of dollars, because it's all relative. How much money do you have in your bank account? And relative to that, how much are you giving? If you're stretching yourself and giving more than you can, even if you're giving a minimal amount, that's...
יש פה רבנו חנן אומר, ראוי לאדם עשיר כמותו לעשות ולא עשה.
That's right.
He was very wealthy, he should have done more.
That's right.
Potential. What is potential?
Okay, so the Gemara weiter. Asur le Rabbi Elazar ben Prata. So now we're going to tell the story of how it unfolded. They caught Rabbi Elazar ben Prata. You guys have it? Gabe, you got it? Yeah? Okay, so they brought Rabbi Elazar ben Prata to the courthouse, this Roman courthouse. Amru, they started judging him. They said, "My taima tanis or my taima ganaft. Why did you learn Torah and why did you steal?" Now, which one did the Romans lie about? He definitely learned Torah, right? Rabbi Elazar ben Prat was a tzaddik. Did he steal? Never, right? But they accused him of a lie and they accused him of truth. So they bundled together both tainas. And Amr Lahu, so Rabbi Chadian saw a way out. He was his own attorney. He was his own lawyer. He said, "1 second, slow down. You just accused me of 2 things. One is learning Torah, and the other is stealing." He says, "Isaifa, if I'm somebody who steals, lo safra, then I'm not learning Torah. V'isafra, and if I'm somebody who learns Torah, lo saifa." How are you leveling these 2 accusations against me? They're mufrach, they're contradicting each other. And if one can't be true, then the other is not true either. Now it's really interesting. The Ben Yehoyada says that this was a miracle, Ashgacha Pratis, because we'll see that Rabbi Elazar ben Prata was accused of 5 things. 4 out of the 5 was true. The Romans were right. We'll see. He learned Torah, right, and he didn't go to the base of Avodah Zarah, and other things they accused him. He was Mashachar and Eved al Pi Torah. We'll see what else they accused him of. The only lie was that they said he stole. He never stole. But Hashem made it that the first claim, the first accusation they said was that you stole. And they bundled it together with Torah. Why did Hashem make it that way? So this way he'll have a way out, and once he diffused and proved them wrong in that area, so now the rest was easy. Where it says, "My time karlach Rabbi." Why are they calling you a Rabbi? Why are they calling you Rabbi? Now remember, today everybody is a Harava Goyin Atzadik. Yeah, everybody's a Rabbi. Today everybody's a Rabbi. So why were they calling him Rabbi? Today, the olden days, the only person who was a Rabbi was the person that smicha. Now we learned earlier in the Masechta that the Romans decreed that nobody can have smicha, nobody can give smicha. They would kill and wipe out not just the city that the smicha was given in, but even the tchum outside the surrounding area. And that's what happened to one of the Asar Ruga Malchus. They gave smicha to the 5 Zikanim. But anyway, he said, "Why are they calling you Rebbe? Who gave you smicha? Why? How did you become a Rebbe?" So he says, "Nah, people are not calling me Rebbe because I'm a Rebbe in Torah. Rabin shel tarsiyim ani. I'm a Rebbe in teaching people how to weave. Yeah, how to sew. Isolate kibure." So they said, "Oh, really? You really know how to weave?" Yeah. They said, they brought him, I guess, 2 of those thread balls, and they said, "Amrullah, hide the shais, hide the irba. Go ahead, try weaving. Weave in front of us. Could you? Which one is the chassis? Which is that? Which one goes horizontal? Which one? Which one? The warp and the wolf. It's called
Wolf.
and the wolf. Okay." So he didn't know which one is which. Basically, a male bee sat on the one that is going into the other, and the one that the one that's receiving is the nekeva, and a nekeva bee, a female bee, sat on that one, and he knew from there the simon amul haid the shasi v'haid the irba. I remember my great uncle used to tell over a story that when he was in Auschwitz, so the Nazis said, only people who have a profession can be saved. Yeah, they can serve until they can't, or until they're not needed, and then they'll send them to the gas chambers. So my great uncle, Shleib Mandel, he used to live here in L.A. He passed away already, and so he presented himself as a barber. Now he never cut anybody's hair, but he figured, how hard could it be to cut somebody's hair? So he stepped forward. And Echanami, his life was saved. They didn't send him to the gas chambers. They put him into this Nazi barber shop. And his job was, with another couple of Jews who were barbers, his job was to give haircuts to these animals, to these Nazis. Anyway, so there was this one Nazi, I guess it was another Jew who was Taka barber, and he realized that this kid, my great uncle at the time, he doesn't know what he's doing. So he says, "Listen, you'll be my assistant, okay? You'll put on the alcohol, shaving cream. I'll do the cutting." Anyway, so for like a couple of weeks, that's what happened. They came in, and he would put on the shaving cream. The other guy would help, and that's how it went. And he was beseder. They got better food also. After a couple of weeks, the Nazi that used to come in like every other day to get his looks at my great uncle and he says, "Okay, today I want you to shave and I want you to put on the shaving cream." And of course, his hands were trembling. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to do it. But so he was about to put the knife, the razor on the guy's face. The Nazi grabbed his hand and he said, I saw you from day one. You're no barber. Get out of here. Go to work. Didn't kill him. He ended up going to work. He said it was taka miracle that it didn't kill him right there on the spot. But he presented himself as a barber. So here, he presented himself as somebody a professor who teaches people how to weave. So they said, "Oh, let's see what you can do." They gave him over the what's it called, the woof and the whiff, and like whatever. Okay. Okay, so here is the fourth claim. They said, why don't you come to Beis Avidan? Beis Avidan is a place where they gathered to debate and discuss the Avodah Zarahs. I'm an elderly man. I'm afraid that you're going to trample me with your feet. Amru, they said, it's like in those arenas, when one team loses, everybody's running on, people are trampled. I think there are stories like that, right? What do you mean? Until now, since when was there a zaken, an older man, that was trampled, that you're scared that you're going to be trampled? What's your evidence to that? And that day, news came out, breaking news. There was an elderly man that was trampled to death in Beis Avidan. So they said, okay, his fear his claim is verified. Okay, it's legit. My time, because the final accusation made against him was that he was Meshacher is Evet Kanani. Unbelievable. What do we have in Gittin, right? Who's Meshacher is Evet Kanani? Rabbi Lazar. This is Rabbi Lazar Prata. So Meshacher is Evet Kanani. So they said, why are Meshacher Evet Kanani? Now the truth is, you're not allowed to be Meshacher Evet Kanani. Why was he allowed to be Meshacher Evet Kanani? Mitzvah d'Rabba, minyan, right? But they said, but you're upholding Torah and mitzvahs because you're Meshacherim the way you're supposed to be Meshacher Evet Kanani. You gave him a get. You gave him a shtar shichur. And so you're keeping mitzvahs. So they don't like it. It's not true. I was never Meshacher. He lied. So one of the Romans, he knew he was lying. So he was going to be a whistleblower. He's going to come out and tell the truth. He appeared like one of the Roman important people. You saw, you're witnessing the trial, and you're seeing that he has one ness after another. He's experiencing miracles. You're going to go against him on this last accusation? There's going to be a miracle. So the Gemara says, no. And Alionovi said that you will be shown to everyone as a shakran, as somebody who tried to lie against an innocent person. And he didn't listen to Alionovi. He stood up and he was about to report the truth about that he did free his slave, like the mitzvah of the Torah. So that at that time they had a letter that was written and was supposed to be delivered to the emperor. So as soon as this person stood up, they said, "Oh, okay, you send the letter." So they immediately put him to work, and he was never able to report him, I guess. Asal Yo Paskab Parsi, and Eliyahu Novi, as soon as he left the chamber over there, the courthouse, to go on his mission and deliver the letter, Eliyahu Novi took him and threw him Arba Me'es Parsa, 400 Parsa. Ozav Eliyahu never returned. Okay, that's it. So now the Romans bring Betradian. Amrulay, and they said, we have only one accusation against you. Amaika Sakt Beraisa. Why did you learn Torah? Why did you learn Torah? You know we kill anybody who learns Torah. So why did you learn Torah? So, interesting. Over here, look at the language. They asked him, Amaika Sakt Beraisa. But to Rabbi Lozman and Prata, they asked differently. My time at Tanis. Why did you learn? So the reason why they changed the language when they accused and they brought the claim against Rabbi Lozman and Prata, they said, just why did you learn? And here it says, Maika Sakt Beraisa. Why are you busy with Torah? Because Chli Betradian taught Torah publicly. So he was busy teaching Torah. So that's why it was even the complaint they leveled against him was much worse. So that's why I said Maika Sakt Beraisa. But Rabbi Lozman and Prata, they didn't say why are you busy. He wasn't really busy. He was learning for himself. So that's why he said Amay Tanis. But either way, Amar Lahu Kashtzivani Hashem Alikoi. I'm doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has told me to do. Miyad gozru olav l'sreifa. They were geyser that he should be burnt alive. La'ishtoi lahariga. His wife is going to be killed by sword. V'albitoi leisha b'kubish al-zaynas. And they're going to free his daughter, and they're going to make her available as one of the zaynas for the Romans. Olav l'sreifa. Why for him to sreifa? Why did he get such a einish? Says the Gemara Shaya Hoiga as Hashem v'oisi Yosef. He was dairish the Shem HaMefirish of Arboim Eshtayim Oisius. So since he was Doirish Hashem Mefayrish with Arboim Eshtayim Oisius, therefore he was punished with Sreifa. The Ben Yoda speaks out over here. He says, what's the connection between Hoiga Es Hashem B'si Yosef with Sreifa? Why is it Sreifa? So he says that
It's like fire.
that you're mamish entering, the Heichel of Hashem. When you are moitzi the Shem Hashem befiv, you're entering the Shem, the Heichel of Hashem. He says,
He brings down morale.
yeah.
He says just the one
Keep respectful distance from
keep
fire.
a distance, just like one should
Aha.
keep distance from fire. Similarly, one must keep distance from
The sacred name.
the Hakadosh Baruch Hu's name.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
There's another one, בן יהודה, it says, אלה החוטאים לעניינים של קודש, נענשים בדרך כלל בשרפה, כמו קדשים.
Kachim is B'Sreifa.
שנפסלו,
Aha.
דינה בשרפה.
Nice. Okay, so here we have the connection. Lamais, you see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu medagdik im tzadikim kechut hasayra, like unbelievable. He's going to be burnt alive. Here, he's Moser Nefesh to teach Torah b'Rabbim, and yet he's held accountable for being Hoigas Hashem B'si Yosef. Gemara asks, V'heichav and Hachi, Hadir B'chriv Tradian, what was his rationale to do it? Vatnan, Elu she'elam chod kol haba, Emer in Torah ben Hashemayim, Ve'ein l'tchis ha'meis ben HaTorah, Abashol Emer Afa Hoigas Hashem B'si Yosef. We learned in a Perek Chelik, in Sanhedrin. You're not allowed to do that. So how could a tzaddik like B'chriv Tradian be over on such a isser? So the Gemara's, you're not allowed to verbally articulate the name of Hashem, the 42-letter name of Hashem. So the Gemara says he didn't do it. He just lehislamed ovid. He did it lehislamed. So for this purpose, that you're allowed to do. Kedatain lesilmad lasois. You're not allowed to do what they're doing. Kimaseyim avlatalomed lahaven ulahayrus. But if you're trying to train yourself or to learn about it, then that you're allowed to, and that was the kavanah of Chinil ben Tradian. So if lehislamed though it means to teach himself. To teach himself, for himself, to teach himself the Shem Hashem. Yeah, he wasn't hoiget stam azay. He wasn't stam like needlessly being hoiget Hashem. He was doing it to teach himself. So for that, if there's a purpose to that, like that purpose is mutter. Elamai tam enish. So if he was allowed to do it, so why was he punished? Mishem hoiges Hashem befarhesia dahava. So he did it befarhesia. So that was a. Rashi says over here, Mamish Rashi brings this Maimer Chazal. Umiya Kodesh Baruch Hu medagdik amatzadikim kechot hasayra. Va'afilu leslamed yesh lochish lekavod harav. And even though it's mutter, still the way he did it, he was held accountable. He should have done it for Hesia, and that's why he was punished. Mamish. Yeah.
אבות, המשתמש בתגה חלף.
Yeah.
מה זה המשתמש בתגה חלף? Whoever is using שמות הקודש,
For his own benefit.
חולף מן העולם. משתמש בתגה חלף.
It's interesting. Tosfos says the reason why Rashi says medagdik masadik b'chit hasayir is because Rashi didn't have the end of the Gemara. According to the end of the Gemara, you don't have to say that svara, because did it b'far Hesia, that's the problem. Says the Gemara, "Val ishtoi lahariga." You wonder why. What was his wife? What did his wife do wrong? Why did his wife get punished? Why was she killed by sword? Says the Gemara, "Deloy michabei," because she didn't criticize her husband. The wife was punished for not criticizing her husband. Yeah. Huh?
Opposite than sandal to Vesmeder.
Yeah. What they say is in every relationship, one is always right, the other is the husband. So Mela, if she would have criticized them, she would have been right.
But it's true.
From this story, you see that anyone who can protest, watches somebody do an aveira. That's why Reb Shol is so outspoken against people who do aveiras, because he doesn't want to be nitfas ba'avoinam. He wants to make sure that he stays clean. Because kol mishiyesh b'yod limchas, ve'ina moichen eneshal. Absolutely, she was killed. Yep, they killed her by sword, and
Did Rav Chanina still like die?
yeah, he died b'sreif. We'll see in a moment what exactly happened.
Was it like Abi Kiddush Hashem?
Yeah, he's considered asar ruga malchus. Yeah, he's considered asar ruga malchus.
Then why did he get such a harsh punishment?
Yeah, so you see from over here, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is medakdek, HaKadosh Baruch Hu scrutinizes tzaddikim more so than anybody else. It's like if you're in a close relationship with somebody, then the person is more sensitive to what you're doing, because you mean a lot to them, they mean a lot to you. So that's why. Huh?
I would say the opposite.
That's what it is. If somebody, a stranger says something to you, you forget about it. But if somebody who's close to, is near and dear to your heart and says something to you or disapproves of you, then you're going to take it to heart. It's much more hurtful.
To do that.
So that's what he did. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, look, we're so close, you should have been more careful. Val ishtay la'ariga. So by the way, here you see that there is a din arvus when it comes to women, right? Because kol yisroel arevim zeh lo zeh, and once you're an arev, you have to be moicha. If you see somebody doing something wrong, you got to be moicha. But again, you have to be moicha. You have to remember, you have to be moicha in a way where you don't hurt somebody else's feelings. Yeah, you have to do it in such a gentle way, in such a sensitive way that.
Without the sledgehammer.
Yeah. I remember a story of Noach Weinberg once walked into a shul. He once walked into a besmedrash in Eish, I guess in the Eish. He's the founder of Eish. So he had one of the Talmidim come, and they came into the besmedrash. I guess he was just learning for the first time Torah, and he brought a festa pastrami sandwich into the besmedrash, into shul. And nobody eats a pastrami sandwich in the besmedrash, yeah? And he's sitting there fressing away with the pickles and the coleslaw, and he's eating like this. And Noach Weinberg, he watches him, and it doesn't fit. And how's he going to be mechiach, this fellow? And so he walks over to him, and he says, wow, this sandwich looks delicious. And Noach is salivating over the sandwich. He's schmoozing with him. He's like, this sandwich. Finally, the guy said to him, can I give you some? He says, no, I don't eat in the base medrash. And he got the message. Got to use wisdom. Wisdom and how to bring a truth to somebody. And that's what the Gemara is saying. Avada, she was nanish for not being moicha. But even if you're moicha, even if you got to be moicha, you got to be careful. Okay, and his daughter was punished because they put her into a tent of Zionist. Rabbi Yochanan just said that. Yeah, she was the one who was supposed to be moicha.
Oh, she was supposed to
Mechiach, she was supposed to tell him. She saw what he was doing. Rabbi Yochanan says one time the daughter of Reb Chanina was walking in front of Gedoyle Raimi. Amru, and they said to each other, look at this beautiful girl. Kama psiyaseh shall rivazu. How kamanois psiyaseh shall rivazu. Miyad dig the cup of psiyaseh. She overheard how they were admiring her gait, the way she was walking. Yeah, you know the word gait is? Gait is the way she's walking. G-A-I-T. One of the only words I know that is above my 5th grade English education. So it says, Miyad dikdika b'fsiyasel. She started even walking. She started becoming more aware of how she was walking, and she's trying to walk even more beautifully with a nicer gait to impress them. Avoin is she'odem dash ba'akeva v'olam hazeh mesubed loy liyoy madin. Any aveira that a person has dash ba'olam hazeh mesubed loy liyoy madin. So, in other words, even something so seemingly small, yeah, is also what you think is a kala is really something which could be chamer. When all three of them went out to be nenash, right? She was going to the Zionist, Beis Zionist, and the wife was going for cherev, to be killed by sword. He was going to kill by sreifa. All three of them said psukim. They were makabel. They surrendered. They accepted the judgment of Hashem. Hu amar hatzur tamim pa'aloi. Hashem, your ways are complete. The Ishtay Amr, and his wife said, Eilamuna ve'ein ovel tzadik v'yashra. Hashem is a tzadik. Yeah, no, there's psukim right next to each other. Bita Amra, Gedoyle Eitzam, V'rava L'liyah she'necha pekuchas l'kol darche b'nei Odom, Losses le'yesh g'rak l'fim Allah, you pay back everyone exactly what they're supposed to get. Oh, my Rebbe, kam Gedoylem tzadikim alolu. How great are these tzadikim, yeah? Even though they went out to be killed, and she went out to be Beizayna. That bidyuk, they were able to say these psukim. You know, it's easy to say when you're sitting on your couch sipping on a martini. You're saying, tzul tamim pa'alo, yeah. But what happens when you're facing loss, you're facing tragedy, you're facing struggle and challenge? Could you dig deep and say Hatzur Tamim Pa'aloi? So here Rebbe says, Kama G'doyle Tzadikim Alolu. How great are these tzadikim that even b'shas tziduk adin they're saying these psukim. Tonu Rabbanon says the Gemara K'shechol Rabbi Yismi Kis Malach Rabbi Chnim Shad Levakroi. Omaloi Chanina Ochi Yati Deishu Umazu Min Hashemayim Imlechua. Don't you know that this Ummah, Hakadosh Baruch Hu was mamlech them? It's not It's not by chance that the Romans are in charge. Shechrivas Beisoi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed them to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, v'sarfes hacholoi, to burn down the Heichel, v'hargos Chasidav, Indas Toivav, to kill all the Chasidim, v'adayini kayemes. Avada, they're only a messenger, they're only a puppet. Do you really think that a people who destroy Hashem's house, do you really think a people who kill the Chasidim of Klal Yisrael, do you think that they have a chance to survive this long? Avada not. So they're only a puppet. Vani shamati alecha, and I heard about you, shati yoshev oisik b'Torah. So how could you defy their gzeira and be oisik b'Torah? Makal kills barabim and say v'Torah munach lo b'kechecha. Your mamish, you're endangering your life because Hashem gave them this power. So you have to be careful. Do it b'tzinu, don't do it b'farhasia. Omar lois, Rabbi Yosi, min hashamayim yirachemu. Yeah, they'll do a nest for me. Kadosh Baruch Hu will do a nest. Omar loy. So Rabbi Yosi said to Rabbi Chanina, "Ani omer lecha dvar shtam." I'm speaking rational, logical. I'm giving you a logical taina. Va'at omer li min shamayim yirachemu, and you are relying on a miracle. Tameani, I wonder. Im lo yisrafu oischa be'sefer Torah be'eish. I wonder if they're going to burn you and the Sefer Torah in fire. Because you are starting up with the Romans, you gotta respect HaKadosh Baruch Hu's decree, at least in the sense that you should learn Torah privately and not do it b'far Hesia. You're endangering your life. Omar loy, Rabbi Yosi, Rebbe, Ma ani l'chaya olam haba. Do I have a chelik? Do I have a chelik in olam haba? מה אתה אומר?
ברית כרותה לשפתיים, הוא לא היה צריך להגיד לו את זה.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true also. Very good. So the Gemara says that what happened was, he said, Mani l'chai olam haba. He asked him, do I still get olam haba? In other words, even though I'm doing all this, I'm going against the Romans, and I'm being makal kilas barabim, and you just said I shouldn't be doing it, yeah, if I continue doing it, will I still get olam haba? That was his question. Omar loy klum maisa baliyadcha. Give me one maisa, one story, one maisa toiv, one act of kindness that you did, and I'll be able to judge based on that whether you still get olam haba. Omar loy mois shel purim nischalfuli b'mois shel tzedakah. Mois shel purim. I had the story we had earlier, right? He had two pockets. Right? One pocket was designated money to buy Suda food for Purim, and the other pocket was to distribute money to Tzedakah, and he by mistake gave the money of Purim that he'd set aside for himself, his own money, to Tzedakah, and he didn't pay himself back from the kupa of Tzedakah. And I didn't pay myself back, and I gave everything to Aniyim. Omer Lois, Rabbi Yosi said, wow, Im Kain, if you're such a vatran, yeah, b'mamayncha, Im Kain, if you're such a vatran b'mamayncha, you give up your money so easily, you're not attached to your money like that. My chelik should be with your chelik. I should have this girl that you have in that's waiting for olam haba. Now, of course, this is a very difficult Gemara. Do we believe that Chanina ben Tradian didn't know whether he's going to be in olam haba? Here you're talking about one of the Asura Ruga Malchus. Here you're talking about one of the people who defied the Romans and was makal kehilas barabim, gathered Jews to teach Torah at a time of oppression. Do you really believe he didn't know whether he deserves olam haba? And Rabbi Yosi ben Kisma says, the only way I can tell you're zoichet olam haba is by this seemingly minimal act of taking money out of your pocket and giving it. It's just a pliatzuma. I remember learning from the Balatanya in Likutei Torah. He talks about this Gemara, and he says that a lot of times people have certain netiyas, they have certain natural inclinations to do certain mitzvahs. It's not hard for them. It is not hard for a person to do what he's naturally inclined to do. Yeah? Right? A natural propensity. Thank you. A propensity to do what you got to do, right? I'll tell you the truth. Like for me to give this Daf Yomi shiur is not as hard as staying quiet when somebody criticizes me. It's just my ego kicks in. It's a whole different ballgame. So Mamela, am I going to get so much schar? Let's say there are 1 million people listening to my shiur, yeah? Okay, very nice. Gold did what he has a propensity for doing. Yeah, I can do this. Okay, so this is what I can do. But Rabbi Yosi ben Kisma says, tell me something, an act that you did that is so private, there's no netiyas, and sometimes we're motivated by kavod, right? I get kavod. Rabbi Yoel Gold gives Daf Yomi, mamish, yeah, Talmud Chacham, people are going to say nice things about me. Yeah, so you get kavod. So there's also, there are ulterior motives. The memela, so there you can't get the same amount of schar. But Yisrael Kisma says, tell me something that's difficult. Tell me something that's private. Nobody knows about it. It's just between you and your pocket. And that's how I'll know whether you're chay oil or get oil mabah. Huh? Yeah. They all, Gedolei Romi went to bury him. I guess he was very respected by the Romans. They gave him aspid. And when they returned, they found they found him and they caught him. Right after Yisrael Kisma died, they caught him. And they saw that he was teaching Torah publicly. They brought him right away and they wrapped him in the very Sefer Torah that he held. And they brought branches to make sure that he's going to go up in flames well. And they lit the fire. And they brought also cotton and they soaked it in water. They wrapped his heart around it. He should be more in pain, right? He shouldn't die quickly. So his daughter said, Abba, how can I see you in such a state? If I would have been burned by myself, then adavar kashali. That would have been very difficult. Now shani nisr Sefer Torah imi. Now the Sefer Torah, they wrap the Sefer Torah around me, and the Sefer Torah is burning. So I know that Misham Avakish al Bainish Sefer Torah, whoever is going, Hashem is going to pay them, to punish them for humiliating and embarrassing and burning a Sefer Torah like that. Who Yavakish al Baini, since I am with the Torah, he'll also punish them for what they're doing to me. Amr Talmidav said, the student said, Rabbi Ma Torah, what are you seeing? Vozesta, yeah. So Taisa says, why are they asking Ma Torah? How did they know that he was seeing something? How did they know they were seeing something? Taisa says they heard a coil. They heard something. They heard it. They couldn't see it, but they heard something. Yeah? And so the Gemara says, Amr lehen gevilin nisrafim v'oisios parchos. You should know what I'm seeing is they're burning the parchment, but they cannot burn. The letters are flying upward. The letters of the Torah are flying upward. In other words, you can never burn the spirit, the soul. The letters of Torah can never be burned. So the Gemara says that he said, Gvilin Esram V'Oisios Parchos. By the way, we were just in Rome a couple of months ago, and you'll see it in the film at Tisha B'Av. Again, a shameless plug. You'll see that there's a square. There's a square.
Is it a promo for the shiur?
Absolutely. Ashkifa.com. You should see it, not because you'll be donating, you'll pay for the film and help cover the expenses, but really because it's a piece of work that every Jew should watch. That's my opinion. I know that I'm invested in it, but I really believe it. But anyway, in Rome there's a square. There's a square in Rome, in the center of Rome, and there's a plaque. In the middle of that square, there's a plaque, and people literally walk right over that plaque. People are they're oblivious to it. And on that plaque is written these words: Gevilin Nisrafin v'Oisios Parchos. Mamish, on that plaque is written. Why? Because 500 years ago, the Pope decreed that you have to take every Gemara, every Talmud, the Gemara that we're learning now, Torah Nitzchi, right? You have to take every Gemara and burn it in that square. They confiscated every Talmud Bavli, every Gemara, and they burnt it on the first night of Rosh Hashanah in that square, and huge fire. And when Rav Adin Steinsaltz published his Shas, his translation of the Shas, he went back to that very square in Rome where they burned the Gemaras 500 years ago. And he put a plaque there with the mayor in Rome and with the non-Jews in Rome. And he said, look, we're here because Oisios Parchos, even when you try to burn us, the letters fly upward. And look at us, we're still learning. We're learning about that story almost 1,800 years later. So he says,
His plaque?
which plaque?
He put it the plaque?
He put it in the plaque, yeah. To celebrate his completion in translation. Yeah, you'll see it. So the Gemara says, Af ata, psach picha v'tikanas b'chaya eish. So Talmidim said, open your mouth, and let the fire consume you quicker, faster, because you're in so much pain. Amr lehen, Rav Chanina said, Mutav shiyitleno, mishenesono, val yechabel hu ba'atzmai. It's better that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes my soul. I don't want to take my own soul. If this is what Hashem was geyser on me, this is what I'm going to do. Lamaisa, if you take a look at Tosfos right here, val yechabel atzmai, says, Omer Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam says, the heichas shiureim, pen yavirim of the kachavim la'aveira. If a person's afraid that goyim will torture him to violate mitzvahs, to do aveir, he's not going to be able to withstand so much suffering and pain that they're going to give him. It's a mitzvah to kill yourself. So you shouldn't go and violate mitzvahs. So the Gemara says, like in Gittin, Taisa brings the Gemara in Gittin, Gabi Yolodim Shenishbel L'Kol Shetila Atzmam Liyam. Gemara in Gittin tells a story by the Churban. They brought 400 children from Yerushalayim to Rome. They were going to sell them as slaves, do all kinds of averas with them. And what did they do? They all jumped into the ocean and they gave up their lives. So Taisa says, really, they're actually Rechina ben Tradian wasn't being forced to violate any averas over here. He was just in a lot of pain, so he didn't want to kill himself. He didn't want to open his mouth. But if you're going to be forced to be over averas, according to Taisvus, our Taisvus over here, you're allowed to commit suicide. You're allowed to commit suicide to prevent yourself from being over averas. Very interesting. Agamat says v'chai behem, right? You should be over averas, just save your life, right? Presumably. We're talking about, oiv de kechavim. We're talking about the kechavim. They're going to Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, Fichas Damim. Then avada, you should kill yourself rather than being over those averas.
Shaul killed himself.
Shaul killed himself. Beautiful.
He was going to be tortured
By the plishtim, right? That's exactly it's one of the rayas.
Don't we say that every second of
Even any avera, any avera. Good, excellent. Yeah.
don't we
Also
say
true.
every second of a yid's life is like worth like
Yeah.
eternity?
What is this?
Don't we say every single second of
Yeah. But if the next second they're going to force you to violate one of the Gimel Chamuras, then it's better you should
yeah,
die.
but
Person should die.
the kids were gonna have to do one of the
Yeah.
Dude, this is the best part coming up right now.
Omar loy klatztiniri. So the guy who was in charge, of burning Rechini ben Tradian. What's he called in English? What do they call it?
Executioner.
The executioner. Rebbe, if I increase the flame, right? If I put more fire and I remove the wet cotton from your heart, will you bring me to Olam Haba? Amar Eloi Hen. Yes. He shavali swear to me v'nishbala. Miyad here b'shlev is not such as So he right away, basically, turned up the flame and he removed the cotton from his heart. Yatsan shmasim mehera and he died right away. Afu kafet. So right away, this executioner, jumped into the fire. Or yatsa baskal abar Chanina ben Tradian uklatz tainiri mezumon and hein l'chay olam haba. Unbelievable.
The executioner did it.
He himself didn't do it. Once that offer came, that was also from Hashem. That was an offer, but he himself didn't want to do it. So the Gemara says, Bocha Rebbe cried. V'omer, great question, Yisrael. V'omer, yesh koin alome b'sha'achas. Again, another example of Rebbe crying. Yesh koin b'sha'achas v'yesh koin alome b'kama shonim. And for so many people, it takes an entire lifetime to accomplish and achieve what this fellow was able to achieve. B'sha'achas. Says the Gemara, Bruria the Bisnei Meir brat Rechini ben Tradian avoy. Bruria, the wife of Meir, was the daughter of Rechini ben Tradian. Now she was not the same daughter that we talked about earlier. That was his sister, right? She wasn't the same daughter that got a Beis Zionist, that was sent to a tent of Zionist, right? She was a different daughter. Amruloi, so she said to Reb Meir, it really hurt her that her sister wasn't a Beis Zionist. Zila b'milz the yazach savikum shel Zionist. She says, it's mamish humiliating for me that my sister is sitting in the oil shel Zionist. Please go and save her. Shakal tar the dinner of Azal. He took a bunch of money, dinner of gold coins, and he went over there to the Beis Zionist. Omar, and he said, Eloi is avad be'isurim is avad nisa. If there was no Isser, she didn't commit any Isurim yet, she's still pure, then a Nes will happen. Avdi Isura, but if she already violated, if she allowed herself to be violated, and she did an Isser, then Lo Yisav Elanisa, then no miracle will happen. Even though she was forced. For some reason, Rabbi Meir said that a Nes can't happen. Yeah? He had to be Mavara first if she is pure. So the Gemara says, what did he do? Ozil Nakat Nafshei Bechad Parasha. He basically dressed up as a Roman guy who was on a horse, that a rider. Amar la Hashmi'eni li. Yeah, he said to the wife's sister-in-law, who didn't recognize him, says, "I'd like to be with you." Amr lei says, "No, it's not a good idea. Dashtona ano. I'm right now menstruating. It's not. I'm bleeding. I can't be with you." Amr la. So he said to Misrachna mirtach. I'll wait until your menstruation cycle stops, and then I'll be with you. Amrullah, she says, Nah, nefishin tuvet shapir manai. There's so many others that are more beautiful than me. Why do you want me dafka? Go to others. Omar, so Meir says, I tested her. Shma min of this surah. So you see that she was trying to keep herself pure, and she didn't do any surim called asa amrullah hachi. And anyone who tries to be with her, she tells them this excuse. So he went to the Shaimer. Amalei said, Havani Ali. Yeah? Give her to me, I want to buy her. Amalei, Mistafina Malchusa. I'm afraid to let her go, to let her out of the Beis Zaynis, because her gzeira was she has to be a Zaynis. I can't give it to you. I'm afraid of the government. Amr Leis, Rabbi says, Shkol taka with the dinner. Take all this money that I have, right, to bribe him. Palga plach or palga lehavlach. Take one, right, half of it take for yourself, and half of it use to bribe those guards who are going to hold you accountable. They're going to come to the sale, they're going to come to this oil, say, where is she? And they're going to hold you accountable, so you'll pay them off also. And when as soon as I don't have money anymore, I pay the first couple of guys, what am I going to do then? You could say and you will be saved. Just say By the way, this is the Yesod, this is the Makar. Anytime a person finds himself in a matzav where he needs a Yeshua, Hatzalah, he needs to be saved, Elokod Meir Balanes, that's what's called Meir Balanes, because he said Elokod Meir Neni. Right, by the way, very interesting. How could have Rabbi Meir said, how could he have said Elokod Meir Neni? We know Rashi in Chumash says that you're not allowed to put Hashem's name with a living person. That's why Yitzchak Avinu, when he said Elokei Avi, Upachad Yitzchak, right? He didn't want to say Hashem's name on his name. He didn't want to use Hashem's name on himself. He was still alive, right? So Marsha asks, how is Reb Meir Balanes? How is he allowed to invent this phrase of Elokod Meir Aneni, to put Hashem's name on himself? He's still alive. So Marsha says, no, the Meir is not Rabbi Meir. Listen to this. Elokod Meir is either referring to Hameir La'oretz V'Ladar Maleh. It's Hashem, because Hashem brings light to the whole world. Or it's a Elokod Meir that lit up the world with the ness of Hanukkah in the times of the Greeks. But either way, it was referring to Hashem. He says, so Hashem said, how do I know that I can rely on it? Go ahead, you can test it right now. And I have a kalb, they were like these dogs, these wild dogs that would eat people. So this shomer took a piece of dirt and threw it at them, and have a kosla mechle, and the club and the dogs came right away, jumped on him to try to eat him. Omar, he said the magic words, Elokod Meiraneni, Shavkua, and they just stopped. So the Gemara says, the Havel, as soon as he saw that it works, he gave over his sister-in-law. Word got out. Asyua, so they came to this guard that let her go. Askul is kifa. They put him up at the gallows. They wanted to hang him. Omar, he kept saying Lakota Marinani, and every time they tried to hang him, the rope snapped, or the trap door didn't work. Whatever it was, every time it just didn't work. Achsua, they put him down. Omar, what are you doing? It sounds like you have magic. He told the whole story. He told him Lakota Marinani. So they painted Rameir's face on the doors of Rome, on the walls of Rome. Omri, they said, they put up the wanted posters. Anybody who knows this face should come bring him. One day, Rabbi Meir saw that the Romans were chasing him. He was running away from them. And he went into a Beis Zaynis. By the way, a Beis Zaynis ended up saving him. Why? Because remember, what did he do to his sister-in-law? He saved her from a Beis Zaynis. Mida connected Mida, now the Beis Zaynis saved him. He saw Bishal Akum, he put in his finger, dipped his finger in, and he tasted it. So Ikada Amr Asal Yodim like a Zayna, Krachte, and Rameir hugged the Zayna, was really Liah Navi, Amri Chas V'Shalom, can't be Rabbi Meir, Rameir Avadachi, Rameir never would have done this, so Rameir can't be Rabbi Meir. So they didn't chase him anymore because they realized it wasn't Rabbi Meir. Rameir wouldn't have behaved that way. Come, right after Rabbi Meir left, Arik Asal Bavel, he ran away to Bavel. Ikad Amri Mahai Maisav, Ikad Amri Maisav the Bruria. Some say it was a different story. Tomorrow we'll see this other story from Bruria. It's unbelievable. We have to see that story as well. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.